This thing's fucking mental.
Any grip more?
Wow. Right. Holy fuck balls. Hello and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, please consider smashing the subscribe button. If you're already an existing subscriber, I'm probably sure you're a little bit weirded out as to why you can see my legs and my feet. Where's the bikes? Well, in this episode, I test ride something really cool, and the bike's not mine. Also, my friend lives like a fair chunk away, so to ask him to come down to put it in here to actually do the video, it was kind of one of those last end bits of the days, and he was like, hey, have a go on this. So I couldn't say no, really, could I? Now, with that all being well and said, it is a bit weird, and I get a little bit self-conscious about my legs being out here. So we're going to try something, and hopefully it's going to work. Yeah, I photoshopped that in, you know. All my other bikes are real, honest, I swear to God. But yeah, it does still look a little bit like a cardboard cutout, so yeah, should we try it in black and white? Look, I'm a new YouTuber, just give me a break, yeah? That's not working. What about some lighting? Yeah, that'll probably work a bit better. Yeah, so we're just going to keep that there. So, what is the bike that's actually photoshopped in front of me? Well, I test rode a Sherco FSE 300. Now, I hadn't really heard much about these, and I'd only seen a couple of them, especially like on YouTube, and they're kind of climbing the ranks in the enduro scene. It is a purpose-built enduro motorcycle. So the Sherco FSE 300, it's a 300cc 4-stroke, so it's got a lot of grunt. At the same time, I can't find any details too much about its horsepower, so I don't really know, but from what I felt, it was roughly between 30 and 35 horsepower mark. It was obviously quite torquey, and it was also very light. Now, because this bike wasn't mine, I was kind of focusing a lot on trying not to crash it, so my commentary wasn't brilliant. However, I'll go over it in the video, but obviously you still hear the sound of it and just see the amount of enjoyment that I actually had, because it was a great experience to try something that, you know, I've never been on a dirt bike so powerful off-road. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get onto the video. I barely even fit on this thing. Right, Flack, I'm sorry about your clutch lever. Right, that's just before it even happens. Like, I know, but I'm going to be real sorry about it. Fuck me. Going out on a Sherco. 300. The factory. 300. Now let's see if power really does make a difference against a little sinister Apache. Now straight away, the build quality on this, way better. Way better. Like, no denying it. There's no ifs, no buts, no maybes. The quality, you can see why this bike is worth several £1,000s more. And you also see that might be a little bit too short for it. So I've never been on such a powerful dirt bike. This one is rutted to shit. So straight away the power was actually incredibly different. A lot of low end grunt, which I really enjoyed, and it flung me forwards. And whilst it might not look like it's accelerating so fast half the time, trust me, your rear wheel is just spinning. It's spinning and trying to find that traction, trying to find that grip. And I've been riding all day, so by this point my hands were cramping up. I was having quite a lot of fatigue problems, if anything. It was quite a blistering hot day as well, so the amount of sweat was unreal. But I had such a good time, honestly, it was a great time. And riding this bike, I was a little bit at first thinking maybe it's going to be a bit too powerful to what I'm used to. I'm not expecting it. Off-road riding is super difficult, but this bike was really confidence inspiring. I'd honestly would recommend, even if you haven't tried anything so like such a large CC displacement off-road, it really wasn't scary. There were a couple of points where I was a bit worried, especially going through like the woodland areas, just because you don't want to whiskey throttle it when it's got a hell of a lot more grunt. Just, you kind of want to be a little bit more disciplined with that throttle, and as you can imagine, when you're up and down and bumping around and you're fatigued, that makes it so much more difficult. So I stalled it here, and whilst I enjoyed it, I managed to stall it again. Yep, like a good one. But that was the last of it for stalling. Nice and technical little sections. These sections are actually great fun, even though it's quite slow. It's just you're balancing, you're using a lot of your clutch. It's mad. As you can see, there's people already pulled over to the side because they're tired as well. This really was the end of the day, where my mate Rob just said, yeah, I'll just take that one for a spin. So yeah, I was glad I did. It was a great opportunity. I was so worried, especially there was where I actually dropped my Sinus and I snapped my clutch pretty much, or bent it 180 as you saw in the last episode. But I didn't even touch the ground with it, not this time. I mean, I couldn't touch the ground with my feet, but probably might have helped. So again, these are all quite technical bits. You're just trying to make sure you don't clip a tree. But my hands are really hurting at this point now. My hands are really cramped. Wow! Fuck me, I'm just starting to feel my hands are like closing in. It's like my hands wanting just to... Oh. Now, at this point, I have to mention something happened which I wasn't really too sure whether it was or it wasn't, but it turns out it's this thing called arm pump. Now, arm pump is where you've been holding onto the bars quite tightly, so you white knuckle it and you're not breathing in as much, and basically you're not getting enough oxygen cells into your arms. As a result, I actually found that my hands started cramping up, so if I put my hand out, it would just want to close. This made it incredibly difficult to use the clutch. And in enduro and things like that, the clutch is essential. It's all basically clutch work. Now, obviously, I wanted to carry on. It was also the end of the day, and I spent the whole day basically on a Sinus Apache 125, dropping it, breaking it, and watching my soul leave my body. That's how often I had to pick this thing up. So we'll continue a little bit more just so you can actually see just that little touch bit more. And because it was the end of the day, I actually ended up running out of fuel. The power of it though is beautiful. Loads better. It's like, I think in the steady, slower technical bits, I feel like, alright, it's got a bit of grunt. When you get into those wide open spaces, having that power, I just feel like I can put the rear where I want it while I'm digging the front. And that power difference is mental. I don't know if it's what I've been riding all day. Yeah. It's like I got through that little technical bit and I was like, I could feel my fingers coming off the clutch. This thing is awesome. The other thing to note is the fact that it really hurts. The cramp actually hurts like crazy. It's almost like quite a bit of agony, and you start feeling like you can't hold the clutch. Yeah, you can have a little break or two, but the moment you start rolling again, you start getting to use the clutch again, you're gonna have agony, which is why I was grateful for these open stretches of field, basically, because I could stay in the gear for longer and I could stay with my fingers off the clutch. So it really kind of helped with the fatigue, especially in these sections, because even though they're fast sections, yeah, you're still moving, you're going a lot faster, but you just get that chance to breathe because you're not having to focus too much on clutch control, balancing points, or getting stuck up at a very top tight turn that kept catching me out, which was a little bit comical, I'm not going to lie. It's a nice steep drop, and I loved this section of all the track at Action Tracks in Tunbridge Wells, which I admit was a really good place to go. I'll highly recommend it. But this little section was really my favourite. It was a nice flowing, twisty bit, and you've got the tree stuck under, which is awesome. You get to mind out that big rock, which if I wasn't so exhausted and maybe I was on my Sinus, I probably would have tried to jump over it, but it's just, this bit was a nice little flow mix of ups and downs, and it was great fun. I honestly, this bit just felt so nice, and I felt the most comfortable on the whole of the track at this bit here, and even this drop up here was just great fun. It was quite a steep drop, like action cameras really don't show sort of like how big these divots and ruts and how big the rocks and things can be, so yeah, it was pretty good, and it even got me up this bit. Now here's where I could really open it up, getting roosted a bit. front wheel comes up.
Give you an idea, mate, the Cindy's struggled up that hill. This just wheelied.
Now, while the suspension on this bike was so much better than the Cinis, like by a long shot, and it should be for the amount of money this costs more than my regular Cinis Apache, when you're going fast off road, you get to a point where you're doing about 30-40 miles an hour, and the whole thing feels like unstable. It's hard to describe it, but it's not like being on the road. It sort of feels bumpy and skitty, and it feels like it's going to throw you off any minute. And when you're not used to going off-road, because as I say, this is my first time on a proper big dirt bike, when you're not used to it, it is a bit twitchy. Obviously, if I was doing it more on a regular and it was something I was doing quite often, then I'd probably get used to it. But for first, the impression of it was just, it was sketchy. It was really sketchy, which is why, again, over here, even though I open it up, I let off the throttle because it was scary.
That is fucking awesome.
And this is what I was saying about the dust in front with all the other bikes and things in the last video. Basically, that you really can't see, but you're breathing that in as well. So yeah, and it gets stuck to your sweat. It's great fun. There's no other way of putting it. Yeah, you're not going to stay clean doing this stuff, that's for sure. This was actually a really steep climb. Yeah, and I was a little bit worried I was going to just sort of launch the bike up in the air, especially with the power. I mean, the bike had great grunt, really usable, sort of predictable kind of power. It was just spot on. Suspension was amazing on this thing as well. It was a lot stiffer, a lot sort of like every bump that you hit, it sort of went over rather than taking a blow, and it didn't wallow in the corners. It just really had the grip as well with the tyres. I have to admit, this bike in every way, even the clutch was lighter on the hands, just the lightness of the bike, how it felt, just in general, this bike was miles better and purpose built for it, but just, it was great.
Wow.
And I was totally fatigued at this point. So I'm still trying to hold on to my handlebars, even though really I'm kind of slightly dying.
Very good. Hey Flack, it didn't touch the ground.
Well done.
Yeah.
Fuel, I think.
Yeah, it's starting to splutter. Dude, that was awesome. Like, that power is so fucking helpful. Like, wow. Dude, that is a weapon, I like that.
So there you go, that was my experience of a Sherco 300 FSE. Ultimately, wow, it was an amazing bit of kit. Really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was so glad to my mate Rob, who actually gave me the opportunity to test ride it, who just basically was like, there you go, off you go, nutter. In the future episodes, I've got a few things that I'm trying to work in the pipelines. I'm also trying to shift things about, and as you probably noticed in the background, my tools keep moving. That's because it isn't just a YouTube set, I genuinely work on my bikes. But if you like this content, then please smash the like button, and it will just really help me out, especially. And if you can, smash the subscribe button, and if you are new here or you're just interested about a little bit more on this channel, then please check my channel out. Any little bit more of subscribers is obviously going to help this channel. So as I say, certain things are shifting, certain things are being done, all in the pipeline, future content. Till next time, ride it out.